Hello everyone, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. In this recording, I'll be sharing an information that I consider to be a premium information, an A+ information, definitely going to be a game changer. I strongly believe that the information that I am about to share, what I am about to teach, would improve your trading in terms of giving you better entries on your trades and increasing your risk to reward. If at the end of this video you find the information I am about to share useful, I would really appreciate if you subscribe to this channel. And just a side note before we get into it, this video is suitable for every kind of trader, regardless of your trading style or your trading approach. So if you trade classic support and resistance, you have to stick around. If you are an ICT trader that plays with PDRAs, FVGs, order blocks, breaker blocks, mitigation blocks, and whatnot, this video is suitable for you. If you are an SMC trader, you trade supply and demand zones, then you should stick around and listen to what I am about to share. And of course, your style of trading, if you are a scalper, a day trader, a swing trader, a position trader, it doesn't really matter, because this is a universal concept. It works on every time frame. So regardless of your trading style or the kind of trader that you are, this information is suitable for you. So let's get into it. So this is a concept that I call single price POI. Single price POI. So the summary of what this means is, typically when marking out your POIs, we mark out our POIs as zones, right? So mark out as zones from point A to point B, from a certain price to another, and that is basically where we expect price to get into, to present us with trading opportunities for us to execute. But for single price POI, it's a bit different. So instead of us to be having a zone just as the one I marked out, we are going to be looking for a single price within our main POI that we can anticipate price tapping into and presenting us with a trade opportunity. So instead of us to have this whole rectangular zone marked out, we are going to be having a single price, and we can anticipate price to trade into that single price, and it's usually a sniper entry. So we can anticipate price to tap into that and give us that opportunity to trade. So what is the advantage of this? Now, instead of us to have, a risk to reward that would be like this, for instance, instead of us to mark out the entire zone and use the entire zone as our entry, placing our stop loss above that zone, in this case, or in the cases of a sell, we are going to refine our entries into that single price, and our stop loss would just be very close to it. So in this case, we have managed to refine our entry from this entire zone to a specific price inside of that zone. The advantage is we are going to be getting a more precise entry, like I said before, and we are also going to be having a bigger risk to reward. So this is definitely going to improve your trading. So we're going to be looking at a concept that I learned from a friend. It's like an MSNR concept. Although the single price PO, I have not seen anybody talk about it. It's something I discovered myself. I did not learn it from somebody else, but I have to give credits to MSNR traders because the information on MSNR gave me the insights on single price POI. So what I believe is, I strongly believe that price reacts to closing prices. So it might not make sense now, but just give me a minute to construct a candlestick. So what I believe is, I strongly believe that price reacts to closing prices. So when I say closing prices, I mean it literally. So this is a bearish candlestick and this is a bullish candlestick. So basically, where this bearish candlestick closes, we are going to mark that out or stretch that out, So marking that out, I strongly believe that price uses this as, a point of interest here. So price taps into this and it could present an opportunity. The advantage of this is you're going to be getting a very, very precise entry on your trades. There are different ways that price, these closing prices can occur. We can have two candlesticks of different type, a bearish and a bullish candlestick in this case, or maybe we have a bullish and a bearish candlestick. So in the case of this would be the opening price, of course, because this would be the closing price because price opened up here, formed a bullish candlestick and closed above. So that would be the closing price, and that is going to be the POI. So I believe this is already giving you an insight of single price POI. We can anticipate price coming into that closing price and presenting an opportunity for a trade. We can also have two candlesticks of the same type. So basically we can have two bearish candlesticks. In this case, we are going to be marking out the closing price, not the opening price, right? The closing price of this candlestick here, the closing price. So you need two candlesticks for this to be significant, right? Or for a single price POI to be considered, you need two candlesticks. So the closing price of the first candlestick, that is what we are going to be marking out as, our POI. So we can expect price to come into this level, tap into this level, and present us with a trade opportunity. Another way that this can exist is when we have two bullish candlesticks. So I'm trying to take my time just to make sure that we understand this. So we can have two bullish candlesticks, and again, like I said, the first candlestick's closing price would be what we are going to consider as a single price POI. I strongly believe that price reacts off closing prices. I am going to show you, I would show you proof of this later on in this video. I strongly believe that price reacts off closing prices of candlesticks, and a major advantage of this is it gives us a very, very precise entry. So there are some criteria that I want us to talk about. What makes these single price POIs valid. So before we, dive into the charts, let me talk about, what makes this single price POIs valid. Because to be very honest, within an order block, within a supply and demand zone, a fair value gap or whatnot, right, within a major POI. So of course you're going to find, multiple closing prices, within a major POI. So when you mark out your zone, inside of that zone, you're going to find multiple closing prices of multiple candlesticks. So what makes the single price POI valid? What validates this single price? Because what we are looking for is a single price within our zone that we can anticipate price reacting from, or price getting to and presenting us with a trading opportunity. So just one word, right? And that word is rejection. So rejection is what confirms these single price POIs. Rejection is what validates the single price POIs. So when I say rejection, what I mean is, or what we want to see from price is, we want to see price tapping into that single price or the closing price. We want to see price tapping into it and failing to close below it. Let me repeat myself. So we want to see price tapping into the closing price and failing to close below it. So when price taps into it, price closes above. Now price can tap into this closing price once, twice, 3 times, as many times as possible. Personally, I pay more attention to closing prices that has reacted price or rejected price multiple times, as many times as possible. So the more the merrier in this case. So what I want to look for is rejection. I want a candlestick to tap into it, reject and close above it in this case. And of course, that, we can have other candlestick breaking through it. We can have something like this. Price would reject. Price would eventually break through that closing price. And maybe when price revisits that area, it taps into it and rejects again and closes again, right? We can see this is completely valid. It does not invalidate that zone in any way. Price rejects off that zone, then maybe breaks that zone and moves and moves and moves and ultimately comes back to that zone and rejects that zone again and breaks through. We are going to see this as 3 touches. So basically what I mean is this would be the first touch or the first rejection, right? We're going to see that's 3 rejections. This would be the first rejection, this would be the second rejection, and this would be the third rejection. Sorry about this. Yeah, so this would be the third rejection. So what we are going to be looking out for, or what validates the single price POIs, is the closing price is price tapping into that closing price, rejecting the candlestick or candlesticks that taps into that closing price, rejects and closes above it. It can break through it, reject. So these multiple rejection from that zone basically shows that that zone is significant. It means that that zone is significant or important to price. So that is what validates these single price POIs. So basically, or in summary, what we are going to be looking out for is within our zone or within our major POI. Let me call this zone the major POI. We want to look for closing prices within that zone, and of course we can look far towards the left for confirmation. So we want to look for this inside of here. So we want to look for closing prices that rejected price multiple times in the past. We want to study past price action, look for closing prices that rejected price in the past, and we want to mark out that closing price, extend it across our POI. Now, most of the time, if not almost all of the time, because the consistency of this is very, very good, very obvious, right? So most of the time, what price would do is inside of that main or major POI, price would go to that valid closing price, that single price. Yeah, price will go into that valid closing price and tap into that closing price and move. Now there are some cases where you are going to have more than one of these single price POI within your major POI. Now you might have 2, you might have 3. So in this case, what I do is I would refine my entry to the lowest in the case of the sell and the highest in the case of the buy. Then my stop loss would be slightly above the highest in the case of in the case of a sell, and it would be slightly below the lowest in the case of a buy. So in this case, a sell, when we have multiple single price POIs within a major POI, I am going to mark out all the single price POIs, and that would be like my mini zone within the main zone. So this is what we are going to be expecting, or this is how it's going to look like. Price taps into that, and most of the time it won't get to the last or the final single price POI, or if it gets to the final single price POI, it's going to reject it. After giving like a sniper entry, it's going to reject it most of the time immediately, and it's going to move. Now, the reason why we do it like this is because you really don't know what single price POI within that zone the price intends on, reacting from. At least I haven't found out how to, how to identify that yet. So I just mark out all the available or all the valid closing prices within that zone, and that would be my mini zone. All right, so getting this out of the way, I think it's time for us to go into the charts, and I will show you examples of this on your charts. So let's move into it. All right, so this is GBP USD. This works on every single pair. This works on BTC, cryptocurrency markets, indices markets, currency markets. It's not discriminatory, right? So it works everywhere because price basically reacts from closing prices. So I am going to show you a few reaction of price from closing prices, and we can move forward into breaking it down to single price POIs. So looking at this here, we can see how price reacted from this closing price here. So price tapped into that, and that presented an opportunity. You can see how price reacted from this closing price here. On this day, price tapped into it, and that gave a selling opportunity. We can see how price reacted from this closing price here. Price tapped into it and gave a buying opportunity. We can see how price reacted from this closing price for this little buy into this closing price here. And stretching that out, you can see that that is exactly where Friday's buy started from. So of course, I am going to leave you to practice and backtest this, to further confirm the validity of this information. Now, when it comes to single price POI, I already gave you the criteria, that helps us validate these single price POIs. So let me just go ahead to break things down or show you how effective this is on the live charts. So obviously I'm going to be working with hindsight, but hopefully on my Twitter and on my Telegram channel I would be sharing real-time updates or real-time trades that I take using this concept, this single price POI concept. All right, so marking out this zone, let us use this zone as the first. So there are a lot of people that will probably want to buy this from this other block. Yeah, most people would want to refine it down to the lower time frame, wait for confirmation and all of that. But yeah, let's say we want to buy from this other block here or from this demand zone. What I want us to do is simple. On this time frame, this is the daily time frame. So on this time frame, we want to look for any available valid single price POI that is in line with the zone, So what I want us to do is look for any valid closing price or any valid single price POI. In this case, if I stretch this out, I want to see price reacting from there. That is what I want to look for. So I want to see price reacting from there. So this is one reaction, and that could be considered. So when you have something like this, you have one reaction here. Looking towards the left, we cannot see any other closing price or valid single price POI. So what I do is I go one time frame lower. So I go to the 4-hour time frame. Now within the 4-hour time frame, I want to look for the same thing, valid closing prices or valid single price POIs that is in line with this zone, right? So marking this out, you have to train your eyes to see it. But with a little practice, you're going to see everything. You're going to see it. It will be very, very easy to identify. So we can see this here. There is this closing price here. This closing price rejected from there once. As you can see, this little rejection here. Price taps into that closing price, rejects, breaks through it. Remember what I said, it can break through it. All we are looking for is rejection. It is only rejection that makes it valid. So we have one rejection here, two rejections, and boom, 3. Then we have another one, I think. Yes, we have this one here. So we have one rejection here. I think this is also another rejection. That's 2, and boom, 3. Now, like I said, price would react from this single price. In this case, we have 3 single price POIs and price reacted from the last. There are some cases where price would react from the first. But what this helps us do is it helps us refine our entry. Now, since this is a daily POI, we can go to a much lower time frame, maybe the 1 hour time frame or so, to look for a more precise entry. So let's say within this zone, let me take this off. Let's say we're trying to refine our entry or get a better entry from this, price action. How exactly are we going to do it? We're going to use the same method. Sorry. So I'll be going to the 1 hour time frame. And basically what I am going to be looking out for is I would be looking out for rejections, just as this, like this one. So we have this first level. If this level is valid, price would reject from it. Price did not, so this is completely out of the picture. Price rejected from the second and the third single price POI, and that validates that entry. Now, in case you still want to refine your trades, you can still do the same thing. Let's say this other block here, we want to use this other block and we want to refine it. Maybe we are using the daily to confirm the trade, or price intention of moving higher, and we just want to pick an entry from the lower time frame. So this is exactly how you do it. Here within this zone, you ask yourself, what is the single price POI that falls within this zone? Now, looking towards this point, we can see this level here. Yeah, I can stretch it out from here. So we can see multiple rejection here, multiple rejection there, and we simply stretch this out, and that would be the entry. And that would be the entry. So basically, we have managed to refine this from this large zone, this whole other block, to this. And that would be your entry. Of course, I'm going to give you multiple instances or examples. Let's go back to the daily. Let's look for something else on the daily. So right here we have a rejection week. So this can be considered as a POI, and it could present us with an opportunity to take a trade. We can do this, or we can go to the 4 hour time frame to look for something else. So here on this 4 hour time frame, we can see, let us talk about this. We'll talk about this sell here. Talk about this sell here from this other block, right? This other block, and we'll talk about how we can refine it to a single price, right? Then we are also going to talk about this other block here and how we can refine it to a single price. So let us talk about the first one. What is the closing price that is valid within the zone, right? What is that closing price that is valid, or that rejected price within the zone? So if we look closely, we're going to see this as 1. This is one closing price that rejected price. A rejected price here. You can see the price tapped into this, traded above, but failed to close above it. You can see that closed in line with that zone, so that makes it valid. We can use that level as our entry for this sell. So instead of us to use the entire zone here, you can see that we are going to refine it to that level, and that will become our entry. So this is for the first instance. And of course, you can get, I think you can get an even much more precise entry if you go to the 1 hour time frame. But usually, if I find a single price POI within the same time frame of the major POI, and if the risk to reward is quite decent, what I am going to do is I am going to leave it on that time frame. I would not want to go lower to look for lower time frame, because the lower you go, the more complicated things get. All right, so this is one. Now let's just talk about the next zone, which is this zone right here. That's this supply zone, order block. Yeah, this zone. So the same thing again. Do we have a single price POI, valid single price POI within that zone? Well, if you don't find anyone here, you look towards the left. We can see one here, and this basically reacted price once, twice. I will stretch that out. Can we see any other one? Of course we can. We can see this one here, rejected price once, twice, three times. I won't count this, three times. I will stretch that out. Can we see any other one? Yeah, we can see this one, but I wouldn't want to use this one, right? So this is going to be my level here to like here. That would be my zone for looking for selling opportunities. Now the same thing here, we have this order block. This is a valid order block here, so we're marking out that entire candle for the continuation sell. Now simple question, we repeat the same question. Do we have any single price POI that is valid that falls within this main zone? So basically we look towards the left for closing prices that reacted price. So we have this here, reacted price once, twice, this one. But there is something that you need to pay attention to. This also reacted from here, right? So instead of you to use this, since it reacted from here, we can also use this one, right? And we can see that this would lead us to this. This was a major reaction. So here it is. So we have this rejection, 1, 2, 3, I think 4, 5, 6, 7, a lot of rejections. So we stretch that out, and that would be one of the closing prices, valid closing prices. We have another one here, that would be 2. We have another one here. Yes, we have another one here, that would be 3. And yes, that is what we are going to refine our entry to. So we managed to bring it down to 3 valid single price POIs. And you can see that price reacted from the first one. After reacting from the first one, it gave the decline, the sell. So we can do this with a lot, we can do this with a lot. I just want to make sure that you get the idea. It's up to you to go to your charts and confirm what I am sharing with you, if it's real or not. But this is very, very real, right? So the same thing here. This is an order block. Let's say you have you intend on selling this order block. Price came into it. Do you have any closing price within the zone that is valid? Do you have any valid single price POI within the zone on the 4-hour time frame? Well, I cannot find anyone here, right? The only one I can see is this one, and I wouldn't want to use this one because that's literally the end of the zone. right? I would only want to use this one if I don't find anything on any, on, one time frame lower. That is the 1 hour time frame. So I would go to the 1 hour time frame, and I'll basically look for opening prices that rejected price. Any form of rejection makes it valid, right? So we have this one here, this opening price here. Why am I using this opening price? Well, I can also use this one. So this one would count as 1, right? This opening price here, because a rejected price, rejected price, rejected price, rejected price. So that would count as 1. This would also count because it rejected price here, rejected price here, rejected price here, and that will count. So that will make it two levels, or 2 opening prices. So I would mark that zone out, and that would be where I would be expecting price to react from. So as you can see, of course this is hindsight, but the logic remains the same, right? And it is something that you can very much identify in, real time. So price got into the first and the second. Of course, looking at this, we really can't use, there is something else. I think this one, this one too. So the stop loss would be a bit above that. So price used the first and I think the second to move. So that is it. We can bring it down to, we can bring it down to this. Look at this reaction. Look at this other block. Like I said, it is fractal, so it happens on every time frame. You can see this on every time frame. So the simple question is, do we have any valid single price POI here? So of course we do. We have this as 1, and you can see that okay, I think this one as well. We can use this one as well. This one here. Then what else can we use around here? I would not want to use this one because that's like the extreme. I don't like using single prices from the extreme, right? So what I do is what I would do in this case is I would refine it, but I would leave some space for this particular closing price, because price could come down into this closing price and tap into it. But any form of tag on this closing price, I wouldn't expect price to go into any more deeper drawdown. I would expect it to be like a sniper and a reversal, right? So the same stuff here. Let's say for some reason you want to buy this other block here, and you mark it out, and you're looking for a point where price would react from. Well, the same logic, right? You look for a valid single price POI that falls within that zone. So here we are going to be stretching, looking towards the left, the left, the left, the left, until we find something. So we have this closing price here that rejected price once, twice, stretching it out, and that is exactly where price tapped into before moving up. So just to make things clear, I will mark out, order. Again, I don't take extreme. I don't like taking extreme valid single price POIs. I just take the ones that falls within, the top side, maybe 0% to 50% of that zone. So when I say 0 to 50%, what I mean is this: I will want to take valid single price POIs that fall from the 1 to 0.5 in this case, or from the start of the POI, the main POI, to the 50%, to the midway of that POI, and maybe 60-70% max, you know. So in this case, that is where price came into. Price reacted from that level and it started moving up. Okay, so let us look for one more example, because I know by now you already get the idea, you understand the logic. So let me explain this cell. Let us talk about the cell, then we'll call it a day. So let's say this is your supply zone and you're looking for selling opportunities from this zone. The same thing over and over again. What single price, you know, what valid single price POI falls within this zone? So I can see one, this is a rejection. I mark it out, that's one. This is another rejection, mark it out, that's two. This is another one here, mark it out, that's three. Now once it falls, like I said, once it gets to like the 50%, 60, 70 marks, that is basically the ones I use, the valid single prices that fall around this level. So stop loss above, bit above, you refine this as well, and that will be your entry for this short sell. So one more instance before we call it a night. So yeah, this reaction is from here. This reaction here is from this closing price. So let us do this one. Let me do this one, then we'll call it a night. So this is another block here. So basically the same logic, right? You look for single price POIs, valid single price POIs within this zone. So I can see one already here. This is one. That is one. Is there anything else? Yeah, I can see. Okay, this one too, this one as well, right? But yeah, I'm going to drop down one time frame lower. I don't like going any lower than that. I'll drop down one time frame lower and I'll look for, you know, other opening prices that, you know, price reacted from. So in this case, we can see on the 30 minutes, we can see this one here. So price tapped this closing price. I think I said opening price before. So closing price tapped into this, stretch that out. You can see price reacting from it again, stretch that out, price reacting from it again, stretch that out, and that is it here. Boom. And remember, just one time frame lower. I don't think there is any need to go any much lower than that. If not, things would start to get complicated. So here you refine. Do we have any other opening prices? No. This one here is below the zone, so we don't consider that. So you refine this to this. If you have any other opening prices that you can use, you also refine that, and that will be your entry for this. So guys, this is where I will be drawing the curtains. I hope you found this information valuable. If you did, kindly subscribe to this channel, because I will be putting out more educative content like this one. In the description, I would be leaving links to my Twitter, links to my the link to my Telegram channel, and the link to my WhatsApp in case you want to reach out to me, in case you would like us to connect. Thank you very much and see you next time.